Disclaimer right off the bat, I'm going to be ranking a bunch of streamer communities that I feel like I know the most about. Now, if you happen to be in the F tier, I'm not talking about you. You're not like the other girls. You're different. I would definitely not imply that you're toxic and the internet would be a better place without you. Okay, so starting off, I guess we got Pokimane. It's pretty strong. Her community seems to be like the one that gets made fun of the most and has like the most toxicity thrown towards it. They're like called simps or pay pigs. You really don't hear about her fans causing too much drama for other creators. Although I guess you can say that like the whole relationship drama stuff that happens with OTV and all the shippers kind of like knock her down a bit. So overall, I'd say a good place to start would be like a B. Okay, so next up, Lirik. He's one of the OGs of Twitch. Rarely, if ever, do you hear about toxic Lirik fans. Maybe a little bit during his RP stints, but that feels like it's more RP frog since RP in general is like just super toxic. It's a community that kind of sticks to itself, but is willing to call the creator out when he tries to scam a little too hard, like when he tried to make his own NFTs. Might be S tier, but I guess like A is the safer choice. Aiden Ross. Oh, where do I start? So, like, remember that disclaimer at the start? Yeah. So, like, right off the bat, super toxic. And when Aiden had drama with Ludwig and Soda, they showed it with how many death threats and threats in general Ludwig received. To make matters worse, they are massive bootlickers. Where Lirik fans called him out for trying to make NFTs, Aiden's regularly defend him when he did a straight up crypto scam, saying things like, if you get scammed, you deserve it. Or he's just trying to get his bag, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if he was like a single mother trying to get by, sure, do what you gotta do to get the bag, but he's already rich. He doesn't need to scam his child fan base. Like, I really like Lethal Weapon. It's a better Christmas movie than Die Hard. However, if someone calls out Mel Gibson for the stupid stuff he said, I'm not going to try to argue with it. He said dumb stuff. It's just so happens he makes some good content as well. So clearly the first F, you can send your death threats to Ludwig on Twitter. Thanks. Next up is Esfand, the paladin himself. I mean, he's like the perfect example of how a streamer's personality really molds what his community's like. He's a super wholesome dude and his community reflects that. I'm really trying to think of something negative that's happened, but it's usually just someone shits on Esfand and everyone is just like, how can you insult like the big teddy bear? Not the biggest community and that probably helps, but the first solid S. Okay, with Dream, I don't want to spend much time bashing on Dream, but when you have multiple creators coming out and saying the one fan base they don't want to piss off is Dream because Dream fans go hard, that's not a good sign. It seems like he's trying to get it under control now, but definitely an F. So probably like the newest creator on this list, Atrioc. Some people probably know him as Ludwig's friend, but the community he's built himself seems like pretty great. It seems like just a bunch of people trying to out-meme each other and try to make Atrioc laugh. Sometimes the memes can be like run into the ground, but that just happens with like everything. If I knew nothing else about Atrioc's community, just knowing that a fan made an 8-song album on Spotify and called it in the Video Man with a picture of Atrioc doing a line of coke, that's all I need to know that it's an S tier community. Especially since they changed the name of the album after Atrioc said like this could legitimately get him fired from his day job. So something a little different is Critical Role. On the face, it's supposed to be like this super open and welcoming community to all people, no matter your race, gender, sexuality, or like whatever. However, they also have like an extremely toxic underbelly to it. Like, remember that time they got the most vanilla sponsorship of all time, Wendy's? And the fans lost their shit so much Critical Role didn't release the VODs? It's definitely going from like a clear like A to B to a C because of how toxic the fans can just be to its own creators. So once again, we have like another OG of Twitch. I feel like he's been around long enough that like really everybody who's ever watched Twitch has watched Summit at some point for some amount of time. I mean, during RP, he can get pretty upset, which eggs on the RP frogs. But generally, it's a solid fan base, maybe kind of lacking a solid identity. But overall, I guess a B is fair. Honestly, XQC is probably like the hardest one to pin down. His community like really ebbs and flows. It can be pretty wholesome and can do a lot of good, but it very much follows like XQC's attitude. When he's off playing games by himself, they're pretty great. But when any competition at all shows up, they can turn pretty quickly. It doesn't help that he's like been on a long stint of RP, which amplifies the toxicity. I guess when you get like 90k average concurrent viewers, it may just be like too much to control. So even though you have like the sorry for my juicers section of his fans, the hoppers and people defending his bad behaviors, drag them down pretty far to like C. Maybe if he like stops doing RP for a while, it'll start going back up, but RP really drags it down a whole lot. So maybe another one of those like more lesser known streamers, even though like he still has like 10k viewers, like Northern Lion, seeing his clips show up on LSF is pretty funny because his community definitely doesn't seem like the stereotypical LSF crowd. And even like unrelated threads, you can see them pop up with like squeeze me, freeze me, please me, tease me. And anytime I see Northern Lion join an event, I'm always like, that's a great addition. I don't have to worry about how his fans might ruin it for everyone else. So I think, again, S tier. It seems like all like the smaller people are like S tier, and the bigger your community gets, it just gets worse overall. So Ludwig, I think what really helps is that he built this community slowly over time and didn't just explode one day. So he had time to get like a solid base of what he wanted his community to be. Even though he says otherwise, his fan base can be kind of a pretty big echo chamber. Like after he said it wasn't in one of his videos, I looked through hundreds of his comments on that video and was just very much repeating what he said. But if that's like the biggest criticism I have of his community, I think that's just like a strong A. So Forsen is like another really tricky one. Like his community probably has one of the biggest impacts on Twitch culture, like out of any streamer. I don't think anyone would really disagree with that. His streams are like now very much just like his community entertaining themselves while he just sits there, which would put them at like the top of S tier. However, they also have like a past of like racism, sexism, and like homophobia. Like pretty much all of the isms, they've done it. And it's gotten better like as the internet has aged. But like trying to balance their impact on Twitch with their not so good past, I want to say B. It might be because I like grew up in a time where it was very much gamers just being gamers, so I don't weigh like their sketchy past enough. But I mean, this list was obviously going to be biased anyways, so we're going with B. Okay, so Destiny, like if you've ever wondered where like the actually crowd comes from, that's like where they live. Like that's his community. Like they've never met a person they wouldn't try to debate. And, oh, you have human emotions? I'm actually a superior being who has no emotions and is purely logical. I mean, it's sad too. Like he had some great content. Like I've watched him on and off since his like StarCraft days. So much so that I was like in his WoW community guild. I was waving between C and F, and then I remember that they still support him while he plays League. And anyone who does that is like an F community to me. So Sykkuno is like probably up there with Esfand, was like one of the most wholesome streamers on the platform. And he's like willing to call out his chat when they're acting up. I think he got like really lucky that he blew up after the whole like OTV was like, at the like peak shipping content phase, because I could see his fan base like going to the extreme with it. He also has like RP frogs synced on his community, but overall a pretty nice community, good enough for A. Because like even like his RP like toxicity community aspect isn't nearly as bad as it can be. Like I've also watched Hasan on and off ever since he started streaming pretty much, or gained traction, and I feel like this is something that happens with like any political streamer. I don't have to watch Hasan anymore. I can just see his fans talk online, and I know what he thinks about X thing because they just repeat what he says verbatim. And like I wouldn't even call his community toxic or like Destiny's community that toxic, like, but like the whole war between Hasan and Destiny's community is just annoying to everyone else. It's just like that they're like so unrelenting that is annoying to deal with and just like brings the vibe down for everyone else. But he doesn't play League, so C. So recently I've watched MoonMoon and Soda probably more than any other streamer. They both fit very much like into the same category of streamers who do their own thing, play whatever game they want to, and will call out the chat when they say dumb shit. They both had to sit with RP a couple of times, but it's been a long enough period of time where they've played where the RP frogs have simmered down. And I mean, I guess like MoonMoon versus XCC was some pretty hot and somewhat toxic period, but like it's been so long that it's kind of over now. And like when you compare their community during peak RP to someone like XQC's or like any big RP streamers, like other than like maybe Buddha, their chat was a whole lot better than most. And if you can make it through RP without your chat being a complete toxic cesspool, I mean, that says a lot. Definitely S tier for both of them. I mean, I feel like Disguised Toast is very much like Poki. Like anyone from OTV, unfortunately, has like the shipping phase tied to them, which doesn't help their cause. However, Toast is one of the few creators who can say like their fans supported them through multiple different content phases of the career. Like once you get known for a thing, your fans tend to drop you if you change that thing you do. I feel like the biggest downside to his community now is because he's known as like a billion IQ streamer, his fans will defend him and think whatever he says is right no matter what. So while Poki had the shipping phase and is pretty chill, it kind of bumps Toast down a little below her, so probably like a low B. So Tyler won, the only man to beat League of Legends and then continue to play it for some reason. While he is reformed, you can't really deny the impact he had on the League community as a whole. While his chat is fine on Twitch and social media, the toxicity they promoted in the league is pretty big. If he didn't become reformed, his community would have been a solid F. However, it's gotten better, so I'll say C. Like, I feel like if you go in now without knowing anything about Tyler, it's like a perfectly fine community. But it's kind of like Forsen's like past community has like a big impact on his like overall ranking. So the Mizkids, I mean, there is a reason why everyone and their mother tries to collab with Mizkif, because if his chat likes you, it'll definitely blow up your numbers. But be ready, if they don't like you, you're going to have clips on LSF calling you some kind of awful things. I think he kind of got saved that he was just like an extra during the Ice days, and it was so long ago that most of that group of fans like grew up. And then you have like that weird Maya Mizkif relationship fans, which is like pretty sad. But it seems like the worst part of Mizkif is like the friends he hangs around and not his fans. Like the leaked logs or like the groping incident. So I think like an A for his community is pretty fair. So this may be mean, but like if you put a gun to my head, I could not pick out a Shroud fan from a group of people. Like they don't seem to have like any kind of identity for themselves, but also like they aren't super toxic, I guess. Like it seems like it's just like a bunch of people who wanted to watch someone click heads who doesn't rage, because like FPS players are known for the rage. Like I guess next to League players. But now you also have to be okay with someone who just wants to grind MMOs. Like I guess like a B is fine because like they have like no strong impression either way. And last but not least, I think Valkyrae, she was like really smart to keep her relationship status somewhat hidden for the most part. Like you still have the group of people in her fan base that's like shippers, but it's not like overwhelming. It's like another community that is like the most toxic towards herself and her friends, and not to like other random communities, which is I guess like a good thing, but also kind of messed up. She's like had to close her chat because it was so bad at one point, and has had to like call her chat for shitting on her friends. Like that's a smart thing to do, I guess. Like why would you shit on like your streamer's friends? Like why would they ever side with you and not their like real life friends? So like it's already a fan base struggling with toxicity, and she's only diving more into RP, so it's only going to get worse. So I think like right now she's on a C, but definitely on like a downward trend for our community. And like I've called out like the RP community a lot, and that's because I've watched RP on and off since like the SOE days. And I don't think there's like any creator in the RP scene who would disagree that RP viewers are like a special breed of toxic. But if you agree with me, let me know down in the comments below. If you disagree with me, don't let me know, because I want to create the biggest echo chamber ever.